Every NBA observer, including yours truly, has come to the conclusion that Damian Lillard's time in Portland is just about over. For a while there this summer, it sounded like Dame himself might have reached that conclusion. But after watching the Bucks win what some might consider an unlikely title in 2021, Dame now says he's more convinced than ever that the Blazers can get the job done, and surprise everyone by emerging as contenders this season. I can see you rolling your eyes from here, but the truth is that Dame's newfound belief in Portland may not just be wishful thinking from the loyal star who's never known another NBA home. When it comes to the 2022 title race, why not these Blazers? It's no secret that a first-round loss to a badly hobbled Denver team put everyone in the Blazers organization on edge, with GM Neil Olshey deflecting blame for constructing a roster that finished 29th in defensive efficiency, firing head coach Terry Stotts after a mostly successful 9-year run, then hiring Chauncey Billups to replace Stotts. Amid the turmoil, Lillard reportedly came to the brink of asking out of Portland and yearned for more urgency in building a real contender. At first glance, the Blazers' personnel changes this offseason don't seem to rise to the level of that urgency. Their biggest roster moves were signing Cody Zeller to a minimum deal and trading Derrick Jones Jr. plus a first-round pick for Larry Nance. They also scooped up Tony Snell, Patrick Patterson, Ben McLemore, Marquise Chris, and Dennis Smith Jr., which reads like a who's who of NBA reclamation projects. Is any of that enough to convince Lillard to recommit? Are those marginal moves really gonna vault Portland from first-round fodder into contenders? Honestly, they might. For starters, the Blazers should benefit from addition by subtraction. They were a good team overall last year, despite handicapping themselves by giving a boatload of minutes to extremely poor defenders, namely Carmelo Anthony and Enes Kanter. The team's defensive rating with starting center Jusuf Nurkic on the floor would have equated to the 5th best mark in the league. And it was even better when Nurkic and Robert Covington shared the court. Portland essentially swapped out that pair's poorest backups, Kanter and Melo, for Zeller, a solid defender when he's actually healthy and on the floor, and Nance, an excellent one. And it's not like those two are zeros at the offensive end. Zeller's a savvy screen setter and heady passer who consistently makes productive plays when he slips into space. And he can be a great pick and roll partner for a dynamic pull-up guard like Dame. Just ask Kemba Walker. Nance brings that same passing acumen, except with more bounce, finishing ability, and stretch, shooting a career-best 36% on 3.3 three-point attempts per game last season. Those guys are probably better served playing off of the starters than anchoring bench crews, but they'll have plenty of opportunities to do both. The Blazers can stagger Lillard and CJ McCollum's minutes to keep a creator on the floor at almost all times, and their transitional units should be miles better than they were last season. The team may miss Kanter's hellacious offensive rebounding and interior scoring, along with Anthony's three-point shooting and ability to create for himself in a pinch. But those things weren't as important to Portland as shoring up its defense, particularly off the bench, and boosting its secondary playmaking. McCollum took a lot of flack for his poor playoff performance and was subsequently the subject of off-season trade speculation, as he seems to be every year. That makes sense. If the Blazers are ever going to make a significant roster move without trading Lillard, McCollum's the guy who'd have to go, assuming there's any takers for the roughly $100 million left on his deal over the next 3 years. But it's worth remembering that before suffering a broken foot that cost him 25 games last season, McCollum was playing the best basketball of his career. He averaged nearly 27 points on 62% true shooting with a 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio over the first 13 games of the season. What if Portland gets that McCollum for an entire season? Blazers fans are eager to shove him out the door in exchange for a defense-first wing, but don't overlook the value of McCollum's self-creation and the importance of having multiple high-level ball handlers in today's NBA. There's a reason this team posted a top 3 offensive rating in each of the last 3 years, and it's not just because of Lillard.
And I want respect!
Damn, did we really just Fredo CJ? Another important factor is that the Blazers will have Norman Powell for a full season, after upgrading from Gary Trent Jr. at last year's trade deadline. Powell's a deadly spot-up shooter and an explosive downhill attacker who slotted in nicely next to Lillard and McCollum. After arriving from Toronto, Powell played in 27 games for Portland and featured in the team's starting 5 with Lillard, McCollum, Covington, and Nurkic. That group outscored opponents by 13.4 points per 100 possessions and produced elite marks on both sides of the ball. Even in the disappointing 6-game playoff loss to Denver, the starters' success held up, as that unit won its 112 minutes by 47 points. And if the Blazers ever feel that lineup is too small and defensively challenged for a particular matchup, Nance gives them the option to switch things up and start him, Covington, and Nurkic together. Both Nance and Covington are optimized at the 4, but either one could handle the 3 for stretches. Portland can also downsize if a situation demands it, which will be much more defensively viable with a Covington-Nance frontcourt than it was with a Covington-Melo frontcourt. Playing the 5 would also allow Nance to showcase his skills as a short roller. As for Billups, the Blazers ensured there will be discomfort and lingering questions surrounding his coaching tenure for as long as it lasts, as his hiring came with questions regarding how O'Shea and the Blazers handled an internal investigation into the resurfaced sexual assault allegations made against Billups in 1997. The Blazers handled their new coach's introduction and questions about his past about as poorly as they could have.
You said the 1997 incident shaped you in unbelievable ways. Can you maybe elaborate on that and how it helped shape you?
Jason, we appreciate your question. We've addressed this. It's been asked and answered, so happy to move on to the next question.
But if we're simply talking about Portland's on-court performance, the coaching change could bring about improvement. Billups is extremely well respected among players and was one of the smartest two-way guards of his generation during his playing day. Nurkic has already spoken about how much Billups has helped him since being hired. A fresh set of eyes can often be the solution to long-standing problems. Of course, the Blazers are still a flawed team. Even with the Nance and Zeller additions, the depth isn't great. The bench could remain a problem, especially if backup point guard Anthony Simons can't make meaningful strides as a defender, playmaker, and inside-the-arc scorer in his 4th season. The defense on the whole will struggle to even approach league average as long as Lillard and McCollum are the starting backcourt. But the offense should be good enough that just being passable at the other end could be enough to contend.
God knows I don't ask you for much.
Perhaps most importantly, the Western Conference feels wide open right now. Sure, there are a few very good teams that should definitely be a cut above Portland, like Utah, the Lakers, and Phoenix. But with major injuries to Kawhi Leonard and Jamal Murray, uncertainty regarding the new-look Lakers and old-look Warriors, roster issues behind Luka Doncic in Dallas, and no young team looking primed to make the leap, there's an opportunity here for a cohesive and experienced team like the Blazers to catch lightning in a bottle and sneak up on a weakened field. That doesn't mean Portland will win the championship, but a run to the conference finals feels well within the realm of possibility.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
And once there, a break here, an injury there, and suddenly you're in the finals. With Lillard and McCollum both on the wrong side of 30, a dearth of prospect capital on the roster, and immense pressure on the whole organization to appease its anti-superstar, this iteration of the Blazers, one led by Dame, may never get a better chance than this year.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.